Hey everyone, this is Dan Bell, and welcome to the director's commentary for Trapped and Terrified. Yes, the cat is out of the bag. I really wanted to re-release this video, but I didn't want to do so under the pretense that it was a real incident, because it most certainly wasn't. It was a scripted, production with acting and everything else, and I'll get into how we did it and what went into making it and all that kind of stuff. I want to say though that this video really spawned a lot of like these urban exploration channels that find bodies and find drugs and find like unicorns. Like this video had a lot of inspired a lot of people to start poking around at night, and looking, finding ridiculous things. My goal from the beginning with this video was that I wanted to make something that would be thrilling entertainment and would also absolutely terrify the audience, and I wanted them to be talking about it and remember it for a long time. That was like my goal when I started to kind of come up with this idea of I really want to do something like, like a horror movie. And so the first thing that needed to happen when I started doing this was I needed to find a building, a place to shoot this. And I knew about this old apartment building over in East Baltimore. I've been past it a million times, but I never thought to get out of the car. It's kind of a sketchy neighborhood, and I didn't think, I was like, there's no way in. I don't want to, poke around too much. So one day I stopped, and I got out of the car. I was taking pictures, and this gentleman comes up from the corner bar. That he was an owner of it. It was like a social club. And we start talking, and he was asking me what I was doing, taking pictures. He thought I was a developer or something. And I said, no, I like abandoned buildings. I'm just just looking at this place. And he said, oh, what do you do? And I said, well, I do videos about dead malls. And he's like, oh, have you been over to Old Town? And I said, well, of course. Old Town Mall is a outdoor mall here in Baltimore that's completely, it's like a ghost town. And I said, I would love to get in some of those buildings over there. And he's like, well, you know what? The guy that lives over here a few doors down from this building, those rats are real, by the way. This place was infested with rats. More rats a sewer would have less rats than the amount of rats running around this place. They were everywhere. It was horrible because every time I would take a step, rats would run in all directions. It was horrible. And being here, all this stuff that I shot here, I did by myself in the middle of the night because I wanted to be creeped out and scared for the video. I wanted to be, so I said, I got to go by myself and do this by myself. And, So that's why I went alone in the middle of the night. I think it was probably like 2:30 in the morning when I was shooting this. Is there anybody in here? So anyway, the gentleman said, well, the guy lives down here next to the building. Him and his partners just bought the old Kaufman's department store in Old Town Mall. They're going to open up a haunt there. It's called the Nevermore Haunt. And I think they're in their second season or third season, but it's doing very well. And I said, I'd love to meet him. So he takes me over, introduces me. And I told the guy, I said, I really would love to get locked into Kaufman's at night and let me go through the place by myself and shoot it. And he said, absolutely, we can do that. And then I said, this apartment building next door, I said, is there any way to get in there? And he said, oh yeah. He said, I'll show you. So he took me around back, and it was wide open. And we went inside, and I was looking around, and I said, man, this is perfect. Like, I could totally, the gears in my brain started moving, and I'm like, I really want to do something here. So I went through, looked around, and said, this is good. And the first, so for those of you who remember all these coming out, there was 2 of these videos. The first one was, I go up and I find pig's feet in one of the rooms, and pig's feet, and I think we got some kind of I can't remember what it was. Maybe chicken livers or something. And so I find this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, and I leave, and that's the end of the video. So I get home, I spent a week editing it, it's done, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't that great. It's a missed opportunity, I felt like. I said I could have done something so much scarier than this. It just felt like it was cliched. It was very cliched. So I released the video, and people were like, "Oh, it's scary," but nobody. It wasn't like it wasn't the reaction I wanted. So this room back here that I'm showing right here, this was they called it the suicide room. Just real quick, a guy wrote a suicide note along the walls in that room and killed himself in that room. And that's why James, the guy that lived down the road there, or a few houses down, he showed me that. We had to go in on a ladder to get to that room, but all the walls had fallen in, so you couldn't see the suicide note anymore. I thought that was really creepy. Anyway, so back to the story. My first video, it just didn't have the impact, and it was cliched, and it was not good. So my in my brain, I'm like, you could come up with a different scenario. Do something different. So I started to think, and the first idea I had was, if I recall correctly, was that a chunk of ceiling comes down and hits me on the head, and I'm passed out, and then someone comes in, like the camera's running for an hour afterwards. Someone comes in and takes the wallet. And I'm like, we're all talking about it, and I said, it's not going to work, because the person would obviously take the camera too, so it's not going to work. And then that's when I came up with the idea of, oh, wait a minute. What if I'm exploring the building, I go up the stairs, and there's a bag, and then I find drugs in the bag, like a lot of drugs. And then the dealer comes in downstairs, and I have to run and hide in that little bathroom up there. And when I got that idea, I just remembered, I'm like, that's it. Like, that's the thing that's going to work. So I called my old pal, Prince Arabian, and that's his real name, by the way, who has been doing projects with me since I was in my early 20s. He was in my first feature film, which was just a little sort of really bad underground movie called Go-Go Motel. But he was in that, and he played this really horrible, he plays these really tough, awful people. He's good at these, what would be a good way? Like I don't even know how to describe what that character would have been. He just knows how to play a scary character. Like, he's good at it. Somebody you would feel threatened by. And I told him about it. I said, we're going to do this, but I don't want to show you. I just want to hear you from behind this door of this bathroom. And that was kind of the presto moment for me, because I'm like, I just want it to be sound. If it's sound of somebody coming up the stairs and they're getting closer and closer, and I'm trapped in this bathroom and I can't leave because I could possibly get shot, or or be beat up or thrown over the banister. I mean, this is, I'm like, that is what's going to really creep and freak everyone out. So that's what I went for. The takes, it took, we did about 20 takes before we got it right. And we were filming, all this I shot on a separate night. So I went by myself, middle of the night, shot all this stuff. And then the final part, when you see the bag at the top of the stairs, that was a different night that we were all set up and ready to go. Prince and I rehearsed the scene. We did come up with dialogue, but I was just kind of like, I'm like, this is something that, we'll go on this, but don't read. Like, it needs to be ad-libbed. It needs to just be natural. And it was the same for me. So, I had to go in the bathroom. I have no professional acting experience whatsoever. So I was really afraid. I'm like, am I even going to be able to pull this off? That was like my big worry. And I knew Prince could do it, but I don't fancy myself an actor. So for me, it was like nerve-wracking because I'm like, man, I am I getting this right? Am I getting this right? So it was 20 takes. I think we shot for like 8 hours. It was a long night of shooting in frigid, miserable conditions. So anyway, we were done, and I had to go back a couple more times to do some pickup shots, but it was in the can, and I edited it. It took about a week and a half to edit it, and when it was done, I said the only way I'm going to get a true reaction is to show this to people who don't know anything about it. So I just remembered I was sitting there thinking about it, and I went out downstairs of my building, and I ran into my friend's daughter and her girlfriend, and I said, upstairs now, I want to show you something. And they came up, and I said, I want you to watch this and tell me what you think. And they started watching it, and they're like, oh, you're exploring an abandoned building, blah, blah, blah. And I just sat there pretending I wasn't watching them. I was on the other side of the room, like doing some paperwork or something. And I just kept looking at them. And then when that scene comes, when I find the crack rocks, they literally were like stunned. And they were like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I just remember that's what they were doing. And like, my friend, the one girl had her hands, the girlfriend, put her hands over her face, and she's looking wincing, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this really does work. And so of course when it was over, my friend's daughter was like, you're gonna get killed, what are you doing? And I said, no, it's not real, it's a scripted thing. And they were just like, are you kidding us? Like, it was the reaction I wanted. And so I knew I had put something together that was special. And of course, Prince and I watched it, and then his friends who played the two guys walking past the building, they watched it. And we were just all like, we were just like, man, this is awesome. Like, it was fun making this. The story behind the green bag. So the drugs in the bag are nothing more than Pennsylvania buttermints. I had gone to Michael's craft store, and I was picking out things that could look like drugs. So I first tried wax. So I bought like a block of unscented yellow wax, and I was crushing it up and putting it in bags. And I'm like, I don't like the way this looks. And I bought some other stuff, some chalk. I bought oil pastels, some other stuff. And I bought these candies, the Pennsylvania buttermints, and they looked great. They looked just how I wanted them to look. And so we crushed them up, put them in those little baggies, and then, put a rubber band around it. And it looked like something really bad. So it worked perfectly. And I thought it was so funny because we were leaving, when we were done, everybody was eating the buttermints out of the little baggies. So we're like eating the crack. But yeah, so and that's all I remember. We got home and I took Prince back to his place, and I got home and I'm like, man, these buttermints are so good. And I got upstairs already eating more buttermints, but they are really good. They sell them at Michael's, so if you want to try them, you can eat the crack from Trapped and Terrified. So anyway, this scene in the bathroom here. Again, this being an very much based on just audio. The first couple of takes, I wasn't getting Prince's dialogue very well through the wall. I couldn't hear him. I could hear him a little bit, but I said it needs to be louder. So we went and cut a hole in the wall in the bathroom up top, and then I was able to hear him perfectly. The performance, I would talk, I'm not coming from someone who is, I appreciate great actors, and I don't know if I could say, oh, I'm an actor, because this was the last take. It took 20 times for me to get it like this, where it was just restrained enough that it came off as, being in that situation. What I did the whole time, I just kept saying, well, if you were in this situation, how would you react? What would you do in that situation? And so that was that's where it came from. And I don't, I think that one of my friends, he's an actor, a professional actor. He does shows and stuff. And he watched it. He said, man, that's really good. He's like, you should go into acting. And I said, I don't want to be an actor. But that was probably my one and only acting role that I would ever do. But it just came to me when we were being in the situation. And I knew when I ran out of the house, in the pages I wrote, I said, relief, almost like a crying, like a relief that you got out alive, and that kind of thing. And so that was, it just hit me. I think I was really tired, and I was just wanted to get this over with. The take before this, I had fallen. My foot, there was all this debris and stuff behind the place, and I tripped on something and fell down. And I just wanted it to be over with. Like, I wanted to go home. And so that the feelings of this situation, I think, just putting myself in that situation, I was able to do that acting. Prince had it easy. You just walk up the stairs and, F you and where's my money? All that, shove it up your ass and all that. Like, it was easy for him, but he was brilliant. He did a great job. And it was just, it's just another thing. Arusha, I want to thank Arusha. She's my partner in sound design. She's amazing. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you can still enjoy Trapped and Terrified, even though now that it's a horror movie. But I want to thank you all for sitting through this and listening to me ramble about this. And if you have any questions, I'm on Twitter @ThisIsDanBell. Thanks a lot.